Hello and welcome to Philosophy Roulette, where I read and react to philosophy papers live on twitch.tv/Noger0. And, seems like a thing to do. So let's see what's available. I, don't know if you can see in the little chat box, there's some, new commands I've been working on. So, like, if you are interested in the music that I am playing, you can see, well, I don't know if you're in chat, you can see, but no. You can, like, type in, exclamation point music, if I can spell music, that is, and you get a nice little link down to ill-advised records and to the specific mix that I usually have going, which is a DMCA safe mix that they have provided for streamers for free use, which is really cool of them. So that's that. I also tried doing some new stuff with automatic messages. I've never had that before. So maybe you'll be getting like spammed with my Discord link and stuff like that, like many other streamers have. Uh, we'll see. History and theory, an Afro-pessimist account of history. Well, that's kind of interesting sounding. Afro-pessimism. I have no idea what Afro-pessimism is. Hey, let's click on it, see if what it is. Studies in the philosophy of history. Oh, this sounds cool. Too bad I can't have access to this. That's sad. But whatever. I realized because I just had something published that, this could have literally been like a few hours ago this went up. So the fact that they don't have it up yet is maybe, sometimes I'm kind of annoyed about that, but you know what? It might not be their fault. It may have literally just been posted, and they got like an email about it or something like an hour ago. I'm like, oh, that's great. Should do stuff. Journal. Oh, this is interesting. Journal of Controversial Ideas. This is something where they're basically saying we're gonna take your weirdest and worst ideas and we're gonna publish it. We're gonna be less strict about the topics that we have. So Rivka Weinberg, this may be even a pseudonym, we don't know, but this is past peer review apparently of some stuff. So let's go see. This is volume 1 issue 1, so this just came out, and this is a new journal. So we've got a few different things here. So let's see. All right, let's try this. Let's try this one right here. We don't have it, which would be very, very sad for no ultimate meaning. Let's see how long it is. Maybe we could do this Journal of Controversial Ideas. 22 pages. That's a hell no from me, because I'll take 4 hours to read in this like really teeny font. That is unfortunate. I mean, it might be super interesting, but I don't think it's gonna be that interesting. Like, the fact no ultimate meaning, and we should be sorry. Let's read the abstract. Let's like read it right here. It's like bigger right here anyway. Life is pointless. That's not okay. I show that. I argue that a point is a valued end, and that as agents, it makes sense for us to want our efforts and enterprises to have a point. Valued ends provide justifying reasons for our acts, efforts, and projects. I further argue that ends lie separate from the acts and enterprises for which they provide a point. Since there can be no end external to one's entire life, since one's life includes all of one's ends, leading and living one's life as a whole cannot have a point. Finally, I argue that since we live our lives and structure our living human life efforts both in part and as a whole, it is fitting to be sad to recognize that leading and living a life is pointless. My discussion helps make sense of the literature that frequently talks around this topic, but often does so vaguely and indirectly. I mean, maybe. I mean, if you're going to start off with life as pointless, and that's not okay, I mean, I suppose that they're going to show that life is pointless. Maybe you're just... It seems a little odd. Most people think that, you can do some things in life, and then it has a point if you like those things. But I guess they think they can argue better. But yeah, that's a little too long. I don't want to go with 1 to 22 pages. That's what this was. A Quandry of Wokeness. Oreste Fiocco. Let's see. What is the quandary of wokeness? Let's see how long this one is. 1 to 5. Ooh, I can handle a 5-page. So this is definitely going to be fun. Let's do a quandary of wokeness. Well, that's good. So we're going to do a quandary of wokeness by Oreste Fiocco. I mean, this was this is why I have this font. You see that cool Q there? I was like, I kind of like this font for the way it looked. In the quandary of wokeness. Yeah, I should get a different font because what's it called? It doesn't have all the foreign letters in it, and so, or non, like, I guess it would be, it needs the expanded Latin part of the alphabet, and for, so some people's names get busted. Alright, but let's read this quandary of wokeness. It is all of 5 pages. That's including this, like, top page with the abstract and everything, and I guess references too. So hopefully this will go quickly. This is in the Journal of Controversial Ideas, because I guess wokeness qualifies as a controversial idea. So we got sexual orientation, race, gender identity, wokeness, epistemic imperialism. Alright, here we go. Oh yeah, let me throw you guys the links real fast. So this way, if you want to grab the paper, it's right there. And if you come later, you can always type paper, and you can the link pops right back up. Thank you, Echo Bot. I appreciate your hard work. Okay. So, A Quandary of Wokeness by Oreste Fiocco, and we're off. Author says, I am a straight white cis man and I am woke. I characterize myself in these terms sincerely without the least resentment or irony. In characterizing myself as woke, I mean that I am aware of the appalling injustices borne by people in American society because of their sexual orientation, race, gender, and other features. This awareness comes through observation and the effort to empathize with people whose experiences it is impossible for me to actually share. It incites me to want to try to redress these injustices. Surely there is much I can do, given that I am privileged in several dimensions, secure both in my position and financially, and have the conviction that action must be taken. If you want to undo injustice, you can find, through conversation and various media, lists of suggested actions to take. Some of these are not really helpful. Donate, volunteer, yes, but to whom, with whom? Organizations are based off different principles and with competing priorities and objectives. On what grounds do you choose? Some suggestions are more helpful. Call out bigotry. Intervene. I am willing to do both. Acting on these suggestions, however, depends on happenstance and at best addressing only a few instances of recurrent problems. I'm already gonna be like, what the hell is going on here? I have no idea what this is. Like, you know, let's see, can I actually write right here? Nope, doing the wrong thing. So. We'll find out if this makes any sense, because this is like, what is it to be woke, and what can I do about it? It's like, well, this person's coming off as, well, I don't know how they're coming off yet. Like, we're talking about lists of, like, things to do. Like, really? Alright. Most lists of suggested actions include the exhortation to educate oneself. If you do this, you will acquire a sense of the complexity of the problems of injustice, whose bases are not merely in the overt actions of individuals, but in an insidious system. The system in a society ostensibly founded on equality and embracing So this system in a society ostensibly founded on equality and embracing equal opportunity. Incarcerated blacks at over 5 times the rate of non-Hispanic whites. So although blacks, what's up, Evolve Yourself? How you doing? So although blacks make up only 13% of the total population, they are 40% of those incarcerated. Allows a woman to make on average 78 cents for every dollar a man does, leads to only 22% of Latinx adults having some sort of college degree, whereas 47% of adult whites do. Good to hear, good to hear. That was a good 300 followers special you had going on the other day. Thus, as of 2017, degree attainment levels of Latinx adults were about 10% lower than the attainment of level of whites in 1990. Actually, you know what? Let me give you a quick shout out because I got my shout outs working again, I think. Let's find out. Boom. How do you like that with the full-on icon? Yeah, if anyone out there wants some more philosophical and related area content, you could go check out Evolve Yourself TV. Does meditation, does chess. Good guy. And he's in the metalhead crew. I don't know how I end up with like a bunch of people I deal with are all metalheads. I don't care for metal. It's not that I dislike it. I just don't even do anything. But if you also like metal, you can hang out with like Evolve Yourself and like Aristotle, and then like other people I follow are also metalheads. I'm like, why are all you people listening to metal? I do not get this, but whatever. I'm like, I want my reggae. I want like Bob Marley. Like everyone be happy. Anyway, this system, working via mechanisms overlooked or ignored, can oppress even against the intentions of those who would succor. If you want to make momentous changes, one's more widespread and lasting than real but ephemeral ones in your immediate environment, you must smash the system. Okay. So this person is like, none of these things I'm doing is good enough. I have to smash everything. So, alright. I mean, you're going to go for revolutionary redress of social problems. That is not actually how anything ever really changes. Like, you can try to like have a revolution, but like if you do not dismantle the institutions, you're not actually going to change anything. So that's why, revolutions tend to the people in power, they hold on to power. Sometimes it switches who gets to be the power, but it's very hard for just all of a sudden like there to be equality. That's not how equality shows up. And so the idea that you're gonna smash the system, that's like, really? Why do you think smashing the system is actually how to get equality? When was the last time equality got the system got smashed, and that actually made for some better system or a more equitable system? Evolve Yourself TV says, according to Camus, a true revolution has never occurred, only rebellions. That I can see why Camus might have said that. Because a lot of times, all these revolutions, it's like, well, you got this, like the United States Revolution. You've got this group of white men who do not like that group of white men, and they fought. And you know who won in the end? It was the white man. Now, the fact that they were wearing different colored jackets, it's like, but who had the power? Well, it was like, it was different levels of a lot of power at that point. Like, very rich people in England versus very rich people in the New World, which was not the United States. Yes, it was just the American colonies. So it's like, this is what I mean. You can smash the system, but like, who really did like equality all of a sudden show up? No. So, yeah, I think Camus has a point. All right, but here it is by no means clear how to proceed. The injurious system is manifest. The means of undoing it are elusive. If you are appropriately woke and educated. Now, what does it mean to be appropriately woke? I have no idea what that means. What's the level of appropriate wokeness? You will be conscious of discordant voices, including ones from those most harmed by the system, on the point of what needs to be done. There is disagreement about how the system works, on how much of it should be dismantled, on how to go about dismantling it, on what should replace it, and even on how to understand those bearing its negative effects. Awareness of this variety of inconsistent opinions leads to irresolution that inhibits engagement. This is my current state. So this person is paralysis. What's the thing? It's a paralysis by analysis here. That's really what this is. So this is what's going on. So it's not this. It's all you woke, bro. No, this is. Let's see. Woke. I'm still getting used to this. So this is what's going on in this paper. We're so woke, we don't know even how woke we need to be properly woke. So, yeah. So, author says, I've been bothered by this irresolution. Recently, I began to recognize its source in these conversations of discordant voices. A scene in Regina King's film, One Night in Miami, was revelatory. King's film is a fictional account of the night Muhammad Ali, Cassius Clay at the time, upset Sonny Liston to first become heavyweight champion of the world. In the scene I found so illuminating, Malcolm X is portrayed as castigating Sam Cooke for not doing enough in the struggle for racial injustice. Cooke is fiercely indignant at the accusation that he is not contributing appropriately to the struggle, and the two men argue. This film, of course, is not a documentary. Oh, wow, look at that, it worked. Okay, sorry, one sec. This film, of course, is not a documentary, so this argument might not have occurred. Yet you can easily believe it did, and that other similar ones between those who live and might die by the struggle take place every day. Yeah, see, I got the, under there, it automatically posted that I didn't do that. I have a Discord that I don't ever plug, which I should, because if you want to get notified about the stream, you can be there. And all these episodes are on my YouTube, so you can click on the YouTube. And my Phil Papers profile is there too, so I did just get published. So you can click on my publications if you really... I don't know why you would, but you can. But I did that so I wouldn't... to force myself to do this. Okay, so what's going on in this paragraph? It's like, well, yes, people get into arguments about not doing enough. The idea that Malcolm X was actually angry about people from not doing enough, I'm sure he was at times, but I don't know if he actually... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Malcolm X was up to. I mean... All right. We'll see. But the idea that people get into arguments is fine. Continuing. Any familiarity with discussions of race in America reveals a host of contrary judgments and directives. Therefore, for you to act without arbitrariness, in good faith, and with commitment to assist in redressing the problems of racial injustice seems to require evaluation of these incompatible views in order to accept some and thereby reject others. Such evaluations seem to require, at the very least, clear accounts of the central concepts and distinctions, for example, blackness, Latinx, Asian, Asian American, person of color, etc., and some accounts of what is to be done in light of these. But I have no such accounts. More importantly, given the incompatibility of the views, I am not in the position to obtain these accounts without disregarding or overruling the views of some I aim to help, and such dismissal and assertion of dominance seems to be something like epistemic imperialism. Even if I am able, which is contentious, to say, for instance, what blackness is, who am I to say what is to be done in the best interests of those who are black, when doing so requires me to disregard some of those who identify as black? Yeah, oh, and there, a minute later, or 2 minutes later, my paper popped up. So actually, that's working. That's amazing. Well, let's see if it pops up in another half hour. We'll find out. So what the argument is here is that because the author is not in a position to speak from experience, they do not know how to properly assist people that have been done wrong by society, because they don't know how to properly understand what needs to be done, because it is not them. And if they were to impose what they think is helpful, then that would be sort of like, imposing the white man's concepts on the other people. I mean, I think there's a lot to be said about that, but we'll see. Okay, continuing. We can get through this because there's only 5 pages long anyway. My irresolution is not limited to the domain of racial injustice. I have a very good friend, Kathleen Stock, who is vilified as a TERF, that is, a trans-exclusionary radical feminist. I understand her positions for which she has been persecuted and the conscientiousness and compassion that motivates them. Yet I have other very good friends who challenge the former, firmly rejecting her views. I also understand their positions and appreciate the care and values underlying them. The positions here are irreconcilable, and so the actions each side prescribes to mitigate the unacceptable injustices associated with gender are simply incompatible. Given my awareness of this, principled action seems to require clear accounts of the central concept, for example, woman, transgender, non-binary, etc. But again, I am not in the position to acquire these without a seeming epistemic imperialism. Even if I am, which is contentious to say, for instance, what it is to be a woman, who am I to say what is to be done in the best interests of women when doing so requires me to disregard some of those who identify as women? The difficulties here are deeper than familiar ones of acting with imperfect knowledge or in light of your own competing values. Each of us must always act without complete knowledge of all factors germane to that action as we balance values that might motivate incompatible actions. For limited beings, such agency cannot be faulted. Here, however, there is this problem which seems unavoidable of epistemic imperialism. To be an epistemic imperialist is to employ concepts or other theoretical apparatus recognized to be incompatible with some person's concepts or other theoretical apparatus in order to address issues of mutual importance, in particular when devising courses of action that bear on that person. To act with respect to someone in light of an account of things, including perhaps themselves, that one recognizes that they do not accept, is to belittle that person by dismissing their own understanding of things. In doing so, one acts as if the other is not a significant epistemic agent, and hence what they might value or how they might structure their lives is irrelevant. Such canceling via this sort of epistemic dominance is a harm. Thus, if you assert that pork is edible by openly serving bacon to someone known to maintain a kosher diet or to be vegan, you disregard in an inappropriate way how that person sees things, and by doing so disregard that person themselves. Presenting your own reasons for eating pork while serving it does not alleviate the harm. Alright, so what we have now is a version of skepticism of knowledge here. You do not have a version of understanding all the people in the world, and so when it gets sliced up more and more finely, you lose access in some sense to all the different little lives that everyone has that's different from everybody else. And so you can't actually say, well, I am not this kind of person in this sort of way, and so I don't know what they need. And for me to, just assume what they need is disrespecting the person. Because, if someone doesn't eat pork and you give them pork, that's, assuming they're not starving, because you're allowed to, break certain rules to save a life. But, how do you help people if you are not, if there's no mutual understanding at a certain point? And so the more woke you get, the more different slices of life that, slices of humanity that you're dealing with, then this multiplies the epistemic, the lack of understanding, and therefore you might feel that you're, like I said, woke paralysis by analysis. There's too many things to be woke about, and so you don't, and since they compete, there's no way to actually sort out what it is to do. Okay. They continue. Not every disagreement leads to epistemic imperialism. There can and must be civil exchanges in which opposing views are presented, compared, and the reasons for holding one of the views examined. Epistemic imperialism occurs after or in lieu of such an exchange of reasons. When disagreement remains, and insisting on one's own view, one acts to, say, get someone off a university campus or out of a certain restroom. Moreover, one is not an epistemic imperialist merely by adopting and acting on a view of some phenomenon about which one does not have first-hand experience, and hence which others might, in some sense, know better. In most cases, the pertinent features of that phenomenon are sufficiently accessible that one can form justified beliefs about it and act justifiably with respect to it, even without such intimate experience. So, for instance, I may have justified beliefs about abortion and act in light of these without ever having been pregnant. Well, this is strange. If you're going to talk about stuff that you can't have, like that's clearly you're going to have to be like biologically a woman to get pregnant, then why all of a sudden can't you, like if you're not going to ever biologically, being a white guy, be a black guy, have justified beliefs about abortion and also have justified beliefs about like the black experience here in America? I mean, if you're going to grant the abortion, claims, why do you not have an ability to talk something about the black experience in America? I mean, I know black people. I have dealt with black people. I think I know something about their lives in this area, at least in my little area. I'm not going to say I know everything, of course, but I know something. So, like, in the same thing, like, I haven't had an abortion, but I know something. So it's like, why can't we figure this one out? Seems a little odd that they brought up abortion, which, as a straight cis man, it's like very odd that that sort of thing would be their example here. Yeah. Oh, Jesus, here we go. Hey, Kadu, how you doing? Welcome to the stream. Yeah, this is something about it's called a dilemma of wokeness, a quandary of wokeness, and it's basically once you split up the world into smaller and smaller bits, you know less and less about each of the bits. And so how do you know what to do? So, yeah. That's a good question, Cody. This is in a very new philosophy journal. This philosophy journal is called the Journal of Controversial Ideas. And so they're trying to be spicy. They're trying to be edgy. They're trying to, present ideas that they don't think are going to be presented elsewhere because, they might be politically inconvenient. Okay, see, that shouldn't have popped up so quickly. This is supposed to be a half hour, and that was not a half hour in between these two things. So that might be busted. I may have to kill EchoBach. I invoked it? Oh, okay. Oh, hey, there you go. So yes, there is a Discord or socials link. It's funny, I can't read chat. Yeah, and also, so there's some other commands that I built in, so a few more things. Alright, so yeah, this is the Journal of Controversial Ideas. Yeah, let me, bop. There we go. That's the paper if you want to grab it. So you can take a look. Okay, in cases of, continuing, but yeah, feel free to ask questions. In cases of addressing injustice to certain groups or kinds, however, many people hold that the matter is different. In these cases, some believe that distinctive mental experiences available only to those groups who are members of that group or instances of that kind are constitutive of that group. Thus, what it is to be a member of that group is to have those very experiences. Now, this might be the case where, like, having a certain sort of mental experience is really important, but they're gonna have to make this claim for all their wokeness, and you just won't be able to do that. So the idea that, like, I can make the claim that all the trans people have a distinctive mental experience, maybe, but that'd be very hard to argue for. Okay, thus what is meant to be a member of that group is to have those very experiences. These constitutive experiences then inform the interests and needs of members of that group, thereby determining how they ought to be treated. Of course, this account of group membership is disputed by many, including those who self-identify as members of the relevant group. A different account of who is in a group has consequences for the interests and needs of that group, and so determines a different course with respect to how they ought to be treated. Crucially, even where there is not this sort of dispute regarding who is in the group, there are always disagreements among members of a group about what actions ought to be taken to best promote their interests. I, indeed anyone, must adopt some account of group membership or course of action, presumably ones that best align with my own epistemic principles and values. In doing so, I overrule the views and consequently debase the values of at least some members of the group I am endeavoring to help. This is epistemic imperialism. Given the divisions among members of any group, such imperialism is unavoidable insofar as I would try to elevate a group that is being treated unjustly. This is massively, I mean, you can be part of a club. Say you're part of, like, you know, like Twitch, and you like disagree with people. Is that epistemic imperialism? Why would it be? Like, because if the idea that you overruling somebody else, it could be epistemic imperialism, but who's to say that, like, you being a white guy is actually being imperialistic? Like, there are, you know, people who, like, look like they're white in the Western tradition. I think it's attacking wokeness, Caudillo. But, like, why is that one instance, imperialism? Like, you could just be, you know, right in that one instance. Now, is it imperialistic because maybe those group, like, the people in the group are wrong, not because of, like, whatever, them being members of that group, but they could just be wrong about stuff too, and it has nothing to do with whatever minority group they're in. Like, they could just be wrong, because if you're only dealing to a small group of people, they could just be wrong. So this is excessive, like, that there's even any the idea that all disagreement of this sort is epistemic imperialism is excessive. Okay. So maybe, author continues, so maybe in light of all of this, my role as a straight white cis man is not to instigate change. If principled action requires epistemic imperialism, then maybe my role is merely to appreciate alternative perspectives. This, though, would leave out all powerful allies in the effort to eradicate injustice. Perhaps I should act only against those things that anyone, regardless of their more sophisticated views of race or gender, would regard as objectionable. I can do this, but it is a course that is extremely limited. It does seem that my role in this effort should not be simply passive or piecemeal. If, as seems the case, straight white cis men are the hegemonic group in America and the primary beneficiaries of the current system, then those among us who find this system unconscionable must have more to do to bring it down. This leads to a quandary. One in my position can accept a peripheral role in the struggle against injustice, one that seems obviously inefficacious. Or, if one insists on doing more, one must, it seems, engage to some extent in epistemic imperialism, canceling and thereby wronging some of those one is endeavoring to help. Neither course is consistent with being woke, that is, with the awareness of both the magnitude of the problem of injustice and the essential role of all those who have endured injustice in determining how best to address these problems. I'm finding this a little silly, but that's okay. I mean, it's silly in the sense that there's always people you're going to disagree with. Not all of them count. And you're saying, well, you're overruling people who have a specific, a preferred epistemic role as being in the minority and have been hurt by the United States of America in the way it is. Yeah, so what? Nothing in this world, like, you're not going to get by without doing something bad at the same time. Like, there's always going to be some eggs broken. And the idea that you're not going to break some eggs, okay. No, this is why I have the stuff on the overwritten stuff. This is literally paralysis by analysis of wokeness. The idea is that once you are trying as a straight white guy to, you know, help the minorities in the United States of America, you're going to basically be telling them what they should be doing to, like, help them out. And if you're not, then you're just going to be always on the sidelines. And so this person, as a token, like, woke white guy, doesn't know what to do, and therefore thinks the concept of wokeness is too inconsistent to actually have any action come from it. Like, he doesn't know what to do because wokeness is inconsistent, and inconsistency doesn't lead to any action. That's it. And this is the problem. And so what this is they said it right here. Neither course is consistent with being woke, that is, with the awareness of both the magnitude of the problem of injustice, because you have to do something, and the essential role of all those who have endured injustice in determining how best to address these problems. Because as a white guy, he's not the one that has endured the injustice. And so this is really paralysis by analysis here, because the analysis that the person wants to do is always from the standpoint of a minority person, and the author is not a minority. So, I mean, this is a short paper. This is it. So, let me just finish it up because, like, this is literally the end right here. Some might think the solution here is obvious. The basis of injustice. No, he's not crazy. This is just a short paper. You know, they're trying to be edgy. That's all it is. Okay, some might think the solution here is obvious. The bases of injustice in our society they hold are not divisions between races and genders and other identities, but rather the material conditions arising from the disparities between the haves and the have-nots. To redress injustice, you must eliminate the rivaling disparities. Any action intended to address societal injustice not directed at these is misguided. I wholeheartedly accept the former claim, not the latter. Races, genders, orientation, and other means by which persons identify themselves are real and therefore fundamental parts of the world, no less real than the cell phones, baseball, or money, which are no less real than trees, photosynthesis, or hydrogen atoms. As such, they can be and do seem to be sources of irreducible problems that require consideration and response. To dismiss these identities or the distinctions on which they are based, then, is not an adequate reaction to the quandary. I present this quandary not because I think it justifies some agenda. On the contrary, the main concern here is that I lack an agenda when one for those like me is urgently needed. I could participate in a march with other supporters of the Black Lives Matter movement, which I have, attend courses attend courses designed to make me more aware of the pervasiveness of injustice in our society, which I have. I could take a pledge promoted by my employer to uphold certain values of equality and eschew practices contrary to them, which I have. I could make every effort, which I do, to teach my children to judge people only by the content of their character, for our destiny is indeed tied up with all those who are mistreated. Our freedom is indeed inextricably bound to theirs. These actions, though, seem feeble. I am strong. Certainly there is more I can do, but what? I earnestly seek advice. Note, however, before you offer advice, although the foregoing considerations put me in a quandary, they very likely put you in one too. Okay, Evolve Yourself says, yeah, but one can help via different routes. For example, one could donate money to charities that help minorities or serve at soup kitchens that primarily feed minorities. That way, an individual could still make a difference but avoid the ideological incoherence. Yeah, I agree with you, Evolve Yourself. I think this person is not very creative with what they want to do. They're doing all the things that are like, basic. Like, okay, yeah, content of my character is like important and all, but they just seem like a very basic philosopher in some sense. They're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to help because all this stuff is so complicated and I'm not in an epistemic position to do anything. It's like, oh my God, really? It's like, seriously? First of all, nothing gets done without breaking a few eggs. You're never going to do anything without stepping on someone's toes. So I don't regard that as a legit complaint. Claudia says, I mean, I can see this guy's perspective. Seems like he watches way too much news and isn't seeking knowledge through experience. Yeah, exactly, Claudia. This is why it's paralysis by analysis. They keep getting more and more woke without actually doing anything about it. They have to go and they have to go be part of these groups. That's exactly right. I think both of you have hit the nail on the head. The person here is stuck in their books. They're a philosopher clearly, but they have to go out into the real world and then they can actually understand what will actually help the people. And so it's you have to go be with the people at this point. Yeah, they need to go live. It's they need to go take the be among the people. And the idea that they need a plan to do it, that's noble, but at this point, it's yeah, you're not doing anything. Once you get yourself out there, then you will understand the problems better. Reading about the problems doesn't get you the fine-grained understanding of what people actually need. And once you actually get out into the world, then you will see there is things to be done. You cannot do that from sitting in your room, looking at a paper on the internet. You have to actually be talking to the people, be with the people in the place that they are, and then you will understand what you can do to help. And will you end up screwing things up? Yes, you are going to fuck things up. You are going to say the wrong thing at certain times. You are going to piss someone off. that is okay. As long as you're, in some sense, trying to help while you're doing this and you don't fuck up, like, things terribly, it's fine. People understand it's not so easy to do everything. And especially if you're bringing something to the table like this guy is, like, okay, as a white man with money, power, health, and, like, a position, they will, like, your mistakes will be understood as long as you're not being a dick about it. So it's like the idea, like, that wokeness is like paralysis because you don't understand it well enough. I find this, yeah, as Caudillo says, they have to simply get out there and, like, do the things that Evolve Yourself says. You have to go to the places and deal with the people. And that writing papers like this, Quandry of Wokeness, it's cutesy, but it doesn't do anything. Now, I'll grant them the technical point. I like their argument. The argument is actually fine. That the multiplication of different minority groups makes it harder and harder to have epistemic access. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, the woke movement being pretentious, you're talking to a philosopher here. Pretentiousness is a job hazard. I have, like all of us do, that I have to just bite the bullet on pretentiousness. So it's like, are we going to be pretentious sometimes? It's like, yeah. Vivian Xia, what do you eat? Why can you keep talking without a stop? Have you not been on Twitch, Vivian, very long? Like, all of us talk way too much. This is just how Twitch runs, is people not nonstop shut up. Like, sorry. Like, I had pasta with tomato sauce and shrimp parm for dinner, if that matters. But, like, yeah, it's just how Twitch runs, is but yeah, if you have any other questions, that's fine. Yeah. So, no, like I said, I actually, like, the argument is interesting. The social bifurcation and, like, splitting of all the social groups. If you accept that there is epistemic knowledge to be had, yeah, I think it's an interesting paper, really. I think I could have done less with their whininess about not knowing what to do. And if they had stuck to the epistemology, it would have been fine. Like, the idea that the more social groups there are, the harder it is to know everybody, and then you're going to have a difficulty with that. I mean, I think that's actually a nice point. But, they couched it in this problem of wokeness. And a little self-congratulatory, being like, I am the wokest guy here, too. So, it's like, that's fine. But, like, this is the problem. This is performative, in my opinion. Yeah, I find this performative. Like, they're showing off, like, A, they're woke, B, they're good at philosophy, and then, as you folks were saying, but, like, they've sort of missed the point. They haven't done anything of, like, particularly interesting to do it, to go about it. So it's like the forest for the trees here. Okay, but that was fun. Any further? Yeah, exactly. So that's what I think that's one of the problems actually with this entire journal. The Journal of Controversial Ideas is that, like, this is one of the things that they're going to suffer from, is people, expounding stuff from the armchair. Journal of Controversial Ideas. Yeah. Okay. But, hey, I thought this was a little bit of fun. And I'd be happy to read more stuff of this type on stream, just because, it's a little more spicy than a lot of the other stuff. So,